80-year-old Nora Tumusime cannot hold back her joy for the new life she is now leading, thanks to the initiative by CARE International in Uganda to restore the integrity of the life of the Batwa communities, evicted from their natural habitats in the early 1990s without compensation.
When we left the forest, we had almost nothing. So, we used banana and tree leaves to build makeshift houses. But we used to suffer greatly whenever it rained or during extreme cold conditions. That is why I cannot hold back my joy and dance in appreciation for the people who have built this house for me. Surely, you saved us the misery.
Tumusime is one of the 3,000 people, the bulk of whom, Batwa, that CARE International in Uganda and her partners supported to transform their livelihood through the HEAL project. HEAL, an acronym for Health, Education, Agriculture and Land, was designed to heal the emotional, psychosocial and physical wounds that they have suffered since their eviction from Echuya Forest, Bwindi Impenetrable Forest and Mugahinga Mountain Forest in southwestern Uganda's Kabale and Kisoro districts. The forests have since been gazetted into a national forest park. It is a long story, told by different people differently. But all that is history. The bottom line is, the Batwa, like everybody else, have a right to a decent life. A move that has caused CARE International in Uganda and her partners to intervene through health, education, agriculture and land as the major pillars the HEAL project is fronting to build the livelihood base of these very vulnerable communities. The project was designed to consolidate the successes so far registered in transforming the livelihoods of these communities through previous interventions by CARE International in Uganda. So the focus this time round was to empower the most marginalized Batwa communities, notably women and girls, with these rights so that they too are able to participate equitably in decision making at the household and community levels. With funds from CARE Norway, CARE International in Uganda worked in partnership with national civil society organizations, local community-based organizations and local governments to implement the project.
Obudu is a united organization for the Batwa in Uganda, and it has a membership of all the Batwa. So it is strategic in a way that anything to do with the Batwa, it can also give a support in terms of working, in terms of mobilization, in terms of establishing the database for the Batwa, and also monitoring their development and performance indicators. King of their area is mainly in social accountability, monitoring of the performance of these other institutions, and they have that strong capacity in mobilization, in forming groups, in empowering people, leadership training. AICM is also working alongside livelihood, is also working around social empowerment, whereas BMCT has been there for quite long and it has got the capacity in terms of resources to implement agriculture-related activities, to mobilize the VSLA and support them. So we are building on those strengths and building their capacity to handle different components that would lead to entire empowerment process for the Batwa people. 2, we are also looking at life after the project. The partners, with or without CARE, they have the capacity to handle both social empowerment, livelihood, and also monitoring their development and performance indicators.
The entry point in disseminating all these interventions revolved around the Village Saving and Loan Associations, VSLA in short. This is an informal financial model through which a group of self-selected people come together to pool their money and then on-lend the accumulated savings to members who wish to invest or address social problems. The scheme has the welfare fund component from which members borrow to meet their social needs, and then the investment fund, which is borrowed to invest in income-generating projects that can enable the person to pay back the loan with an interest as agreed upon by the entire association.
It's a good financial alternative because considering where the Batwa people have been living next to the protected areas, sometimes the facilities are limited, including the financial services, whether they are banks, microfinance institutions, even the circles. So when you look at the VSLA methodology itself, we are looking at them having an alternative by saving and borrowing and doing any other activity financially. Then at the same time, it is a very good mobilization strategy. These days, all the support that is coming, especially from the government, goes through organized groups. So currently we have 104 VSLA groups in both districts of Kisoro and Kabale. We have always invited in expert people, technical people from the sub-county, from even the districts, to come and give them this information, whether it is health, whether it is agriculture, whether it is education. We are using VSLA as our entry point.
This is Bachiga Batwa Kagano Village Saving and Loan Association in Nyamiyaga Village, Kabale District. Basijirenda Rosa, one of the 9 Batwa members in this group, was elected the money counter after realizing that she was able to responsibly handle the group money.
I
feel proud to be the cashier of this group, especially because it has both the Batwa and the Bachiga. Before this project, it was almost impossible to sit and plan for anything with the Bachiga. They used to undermine us, but now, through this scheme, they have realized that we are as good as them.
Through this VSLA, Basijirenda saved 20,000 shillings in the first saving cycle and accumulated almost twice as much in the second saving cycle.
Using that money, I acquired saucepans, plates, and some nice clothes.
Mukunduvite Babisekeram, another Mutwa member in this group, is also grateful to the VSLA scheme, especially the social fund component, which allows her to borrow money and meet her urgent social needs, and then pay back at a convenient time and without interest. For example, the 20,000 shillings she is paying back now helped her to pay for her treatment when she fell sick a month ago.
They have also learned how to invest their money if they borrow and buy something like a goat. When it produces, they will earn more income from it when they sell it. And then they are also looking at the manure that goat produces to make manure for their gardens. So when they harvest, eat and sell some and then keep also seed so that they are able to repay. And most of them have been investing and repaying. So we are happy. They are looking into another direction apart from consumption.
We have attained the empowerment that will continually facilitate our development, is the message in their song, reaffirming that the health, education, agriculture, land rights, advocacy knowledge and skills they have acquired throughout the 2 years of the project is critical for their sustainable development. Indeed, all these components complement each other to offer a wholesome package to the targeted community. At the project level, however, each of them had a specific goal to achieve, as we now explore. According to the baseline survey that preceded the HEAL project, there are 529 Batwa households in Kisoro and Kabale, but only half of them had land. The rest were just squatters. These could neither build permanent houses nor cultivate their own food. Their only means of survival was to offer their labor to landlords in exchange for food. This placed them in a very serious food insecurity situation, making them very vulnerable to all the associated challenges. So, through this land rights and shelter component, CARE International in Uganda worked closely with Bwindi Mugahinga Conservation Trust and other stakeholders in the two districts to secure land for 55 very vulnerable communities, amongst them the elderly and mothers with young children. To build houses for them, the project was cautious to capture all the cultural and contextual ingredients for community acceptance.
They are like the homes of other villagers. We built a house, a kitchen, a pit latrine, put up a dry rack for utensils. We are also giving them technical backstopping or technical training to help them understand their role in a community and to their own families. They can now understand how to live comfortably in a community and how to sustain their livelihood itself.
For these and many other Batwa that had land without land agreements, the HEAL project supported them to secure the agreements. Now with the land, the Batwa have a sense of security and they can now plan for their survival needs ahead of time.
Despite being a Mutwa, I now own land. I can rear animals, grow pumpkin, Irish potato, and beans on a fairly bigger scale. I can even grow perennial crops such as bananas. And because I use manure such as animal droppings and kitchen refuse, the yield is high. So, my home is food secure and my children always eat as much as they want.
The project implementers also advocated for more land from the local government, and several sub-counties have since realized the need to offer land to these vulnerable members within their community in a bid to support their development efforts. Mr. and Mrs. Mugisha are one of the 28 households that benefited from this arrangement in Chahi and Nyarusiza sub-counties in Chisoro district. Under the agriculture subcomponent, the project has improved the food and income security of 865 households. The household members belong to VSLA groups that were linked to agricultural service providers such as National Agricultural Advisory Services, NADS, and the local government community development departments. In response to the group demands, the NADS extension teams have been training the members in a wide range of modern farming practices using the Farmer Field School approach, through which the members experiment and observe as they learn. The experiments were sited on land hired with project funds, but at the end of the farming season, the participating members would harvest and share the produce. So, this motivated many to be active and therefore easily picked the practical tips on the different aspects of farming. Today, a reasonable number of Batwa are using soil and water conservation technologies, along with other modern farming techniques, which has improved their farm productivity.
We learn to plant Irish in lines and to space them adequately. We also apply manure and weed the crop in time. To conserve soil and water, we dug trenches commonly known as Fanyaju and Fanyachin. Our harvest is great.
The Mugishas can now afford to eat at least 2 meals a day. They even have a surplus for sale to raise money to save in their VSLA group. That is how they managed to accumulate money to construct this house.
My colleagues helped me to mobilize the poles that I needed to roof this house, and then we bought iron sheets using the savings we had accumulated in our first saving cycle. We also bought goats and chicken, and I'm sure if we continue saving, we shall easily devolve.
Other people have not only learned proper farming skills, but also the power of collective action. So, on top of their individual subsistence farms, they decided to pool money and hire land for their development projects. No doubt, with improved food and income security, the Batwa can now afford to live a relatively decent life. Good health is key for the success of any development effort. So, under this health subcomponent, the project has empowered the members with proper hygiene and sanitation information and practices that are essential for preventing a wide range of diseases. For example, many people now appreciate the need to wash hands whenever they come from the toilet. They also wash hands before and after eating. In an effort to improve medical access, the project has worked closely with Rugarama and Mutorere hospitals, Muko and Jitovu Health Center 3 facilities to recruit 577 Batwa into micro-insurance scheme.
The health insurance scheme has done great because, the Batwa people are really poor. They are the needy people. We have also found it hard to have all the Batwa community exempted from payments, as our health facility is a non-for-profit. So with the help of the care, they were enrolled into the scheme, and they normally come for the services. The disease trend has really reduced.
The medical insurance scheme is very good. For example, when I went to deliver this baby, I was given special care until I gave birth. My baby was also given the necessary care before they discharged me.
And through the advocacy efforts of the project, the health centers and hospitals have appreciated the need to intensify medical outreaches, especially to the hard-to-reach areas where most of the Batwa have been resettled. Such outreaches have been instrumental in overcoming the long-distance challenge, which has for long hindered community members from seeking medical care services. And so, the health behavior and health status of many Batwa people has significantly improved. The low literacy levels amongst the Batwa has been a very big handicap for their development. So, under this education subcomponent, CARE International in Uganda partnered with African International Christian Ministries and the government functional adult learning instructors within the districts to, among other things, sensitize the parents about the need to send their children to school.
Functional adult literacy is not only on writing ABCD or writing the name or doing the arithmetic, but also opening their mind, involving them into debate about their life. How would they like to live? What do they need? How do they look at themselves in comparison with the other people within the vicinity of their community? So we sensitize them to compare. We say, don't you see what is happening to the other people? Don't you see the Bachiga children go to school? You also have to take your children to school. We give example of leadership. You see that a Gombora chief. You see that a councillor. You see the headmasters. You see any position of leadership in society is because of education. And so in order to be like others, you have also to take the process that they have taken. And through that way, the Batwa now have been convinced to take their children to school. And they have come out. Now, if you go to them now, they can ask you questions. Why you have come? Why do you want to ask a question about their life? What are you going to use the information for? Their level of literacy is really moving up.
519 adult learners have been equipped with reading, writing, and mathematical skills. This, plus other essential information, has enabled the Batwa to make informed decisions in their day-to-day undertakings.
In the VSRA, we have bookkeeping. So under the FAO, the Batwa have learned how to read and write. And so when they are meeting in groups, they are able to record, they are able to take the proceedings of the VSRA. And then under the health, when they go for immunization or when there are outreaches programs, there are areas when the Batwa need to read a bit, or when they have immunization cards for their children. So the FAL has helped them to write their names and to be able to know the numbers. For example, those who are in insurance have numbers, so they're able to know who they are and they're able to go by that. And then under agriculture, there we have trained them in better agronomic practices. And out of that, we have had 2 producer groups formed and registered with the district commercial officer. With the FAL advantage in the HIL project, the Batwa have been able to gain from the CDD money, where, for example, in the CDD money, they are required to write proposals and write something to show what they need. They have been able to use that skill to get those benefits.
Under the Social Empowerment and Equality subcomponent, CARE International in Uganda partnered with Chisoro District NGO and CBO's Forum to equip the Batwa with knowledge and skills to enable them participate actively in community meetings through which they can contribute to different decision-making processes at the different levels. The project engaged the district community development officers and other relevant agencies to sensitize the Batwa about their rights, roles and responsibilities. The underlying goal was to empower them to be able to demand for their rights from their leaders. Slowly but steadily, the Batwa are starting to exercise their rights.
Abachiga used to sexually assault us and walk away with it. But now, we are empowered. We can no longer keep silent when our rights are violated. We know where to report, and we can demand for justice because it is our right.
In every sub-county where we have Batwa sub-county forums demanding for inclusion in the service delivery. We give them the skills to identify their problems and how they can lobby, advocate for their issues, and also to pressurize government to look at their plight.
They are even now fighting for political posts. They wanted to be LC1. They have even gone to an extent of having educated children who are now agitating the government to represent their people, the Batwa community, at parliamentary level.
The project has also empowered the students to form the Great Kigezi Batwa Students Association, through which to advocate for the advancement of the Batwa concerns up to the highest possible level.
This association will help us to unite the Batwa. We speak together to advocate for our rights. We plan together. If possible, we make one organization. We know that this organization supports the Batwa. It is also helping us to continue contacting the government, letting them know that we really want compensation. For example, last year, CARE also helped us to go to Equal Opportunities Commission to take our petition there.
Under this social empowerment subcomponent, 917 people, including Batwa women, have been empowered and they can freely and ably participate in the public forum. All these successes notwithstanding, challenges were also part of the journey.
The HIL project came in to address several issues that were limiting the Batwa to live a normal life like others that were living. But among the challenges, I would say, attitude takes time to change. So the 2 years were not enough at all. Another challenge is other development actors. It has taken them so long to appreciate that the Batwa can also live and work like anybody else. But through our advocacy strategies, we've tried to bring them on board, but I still see they still need that pushing here and there so that they start fully to appreciate. Then we do not build for all the Batwa, simply because the land is expensive. Our budget could not cover all that we would have wanted.
There are also great lessons that can inform future development efforts, especially those targeting the Batwa or other groups of people in a similar state.
For me, the biggest lesson I've learned from the implementation of HIL is that even some of those people we sit and say they are chronically poor, they are not willing to change, they have no initiative. You touch a small sweet somewhere and then you see the change that you want to see. It's about trying and implementing appropriate models that work for them. Because people are saying, but why do you go and support a VSLA group when each member is saving 100 shillings per week? If you talk about it in terms of money, indeed it does not make economic sense. But if you talk about it in terms of the full package of the benefits that come with the VSLA, then it makes both social and economic sense. Yes, the Batwa are saving 100 shillings a week, but what does it mean in terms of the social benefits that come with VSLA? They are now registered as formal groups, legally recognized under the law. We have linked them to local governments. Now they are being supported through their groups to access CDD money. They are accessing NADS money. They are accessing insurance support. And for me, that is a very big achievement over and above the 100 shillings they save in their VSLA when they meet.
The HEAL project has come to an end with outstanding success, but the need to support more Batwa is even bigger.
The Batwa project, I think, has been one of the most beautiful pieces in Care Uganda, because we are talking about a group of people whom you're working with from scratch. We said, let's demonstrate that when even the chronically poor people are engaged and shown how to do things, they can come up and try to support themselves. We have achieved all that we have achieved, but for me, I think there's still a lot to do with the Batwa, and there is also a lot to do even with the surrounding communities, so that at the end of the day, really we have a community which is coherent, economically empowered, socially coherent, and then that will catapult them even to another level. But it's a responsibility of Care, our peers, but also government, which is at the end of the day responsible for the overall development of this country.